The laughter slams into Lila before she even understands what happened. 1 second she's wiping the edge of the stage, the next she's on her knees, her bucket spinning across the polished floor as everyone stares. Damon's voice cuts through the bright auditorium lights, sharp and loud, pushing more laughter toward her, like a wave she can't escape. Her hands shake so hard she can't pick up the rag. The mic squeals above her, someone records her on their phone, and her breath turns thin and painful. She tries to swallow the heat rising in her throat, but humiliation tastes like metal. She wants to vanish, melt into the floor, anything but stand here with their eyes burning through her. Why now? Why her? And why does Damon look like he knows something she doesn't? Something terrifying. What secret is she failing to hide behind her shaking voice? Lila rushes off the stage, her chest burning like she's been running for miles. The hallway outside feels colder, quieter, but her hands won't stop shaking. She leans against the wall, pulling in a breath that barely reaches her lungs. She hates that she let them see her break. She hates even more that she almost cried in front of Damon. Her fingers curl around her locket, the only thing she has left from Alder. She presses it to her heart, wishing he were here, wishing she didn't feel so alone. Their laughter still echoes in her ears, poisoning every memory of tonight. She questions why Damon pushes her so hard. Why does he act like her existence is a joke he's entitled to? And why does this hurt more than it should? The quiet doesn't last long. She hears footsteps. Heavy, careless, and she freezes, hoping they belong to anyone but him. Her heart thumps painfully as she imagines Damon rounding the corner with that cruel smile. She tries to steady her breathing, but memories of the auditorium keep stabbing her. She feels small, worn thin, held together only by the locket in her hands. She whispers to herself that tomorrow will be different, though she doesn't believe it. She wonders if Alder would tell her to stay strong, or to finally speak up, even if her voice shakes. She wonders why the world keeps testing her like this. She forces herself to move toward the exit, each step weighted with exhaustion. The night air hits her as she pushes through the doors, cold enough to sting but honest in a way the auditorium wasn't. She breathes deeper here. She wraps her arms around her chest, staring at the empty schoolyard. Her thoughts swarm. Humiliation, fear, anger, confusion. She wonders why Damon seems obsessed with tormenting her. She wonders what she ever did to deserve it. She wonders if kindness simply missed her life entirely. Still, the locket warms in her hand and she clings to it like a last piece of hope. As she walks toward the gate, a sudden memory stirs. Alder's voice telling her that courage is not loud. It's steady. She closes her eyes for a moment, letting his words anchor her. Even without him here, she wants to believe she can survive nights like this, but the sting in her chest says otherwise. She hates that Damon can make her feel so powerless. She hates that her voice shakes even when she stays silent. She reaches the gate and looks back at the school, wondering why life always seems heavier for her. She whispers into the night, asking the empty world why people enjoy hurting the ones who already have so little. Lila keeps her head down as she walks home, the cold wind biting through her thin jacket. She hopes the night will swallow the memory of what happened, but every step reminds her of the auditorium, the laughter, the bright lights, the sting of humiliation that still clings to her skin. She turns the corner toward the nearly empty street and stops. A man stands beneath a street lamp, still and focused as if he has been waiting for her. Her stomach tightens. She considers turning back, running even, but something in his posture isn't threatening. He steps forward slowly, calling her name with a calm voice that makes her freeze. He says he knew Alder. He says he has been searching for her. Lila's breath catches. She wants to demand answers, but fear sits like a stone in her throat. The man introduces himself as Vincent Harrow, saying Alder trusted him with something meant only for her. Lila's heartbeat echoes in her ears, drowning out the distant hum of traffic. She steps back, unsure if she should listen. Trust is not something she gives easily. Not after losing Alder, not after surviving people who smile while hurting her. But Vincent's voice carries a kind of quiet sincerity that makes her pause. He tells her Alder left behind something important, something only she can open. Her breath stumbles. She wants to believe him, wants to believe Alder thought about her even in his last days. But doubt creeps in. Why would anyone wait for her? Why her? Of all people? Vincent reaches into his coat and pulls out a small envelope with her name written in Alder's handwriting. Her world tilts. Lila holds the envelope but hesitates to open it. Her fingers trace the familiar loops of Alder's handwriting, and a wave of longing hits her so hard she almost sinks to the curb. Vincent explains that Alder left her something tied to a property outside town, something locked away for years. Lila shakes her head. It sounds impossible. Alder had nothing. They both lived paycheck to paycheck. She remembers the worn coat he patched dozens of times, the meals he skipped to feed her, the nights he cried when he thought she was asleep. How could he have property? How could he have a secret? Vincent doesn't push her. He simply says Alder wanted her to have the truth. The word truth lingers in her mind like a spark in the dark. Vincent finally tells her that Alder trusted only one person with the key. Her. Lila's breath hitches at the word. Key. She thinks of the locket around her neck, the only thing she has left from him. She opens it with trembling fingers, expecting nothing but the tiny picture she has stared at 1,000 times. But inside, behind the picture, lies a tiny metal piece she never noticed before. Her stomach twists. Vincent steps closer, eyes softening as he explains it's part of something much larger, something the Crestwell family would do anything to get. Lila feels the world shift under her. She whispers Damon's name without thinking, dread crawling into her chest. Vincent nods knowingly. Whatever Alder hid, it was never meant for the Crestwells, and somehow she is at the center of it. As Vincent explains the connection between Alder and the Crestwell estate, Lila feels a cold weight settle in her stomach. Everything suddenly feels too big, too dangerous. The Crestwells already make her life miserable without knowing she carries anything valuable. What would they do if they found out? She imagines Damon's smirk twisting into something darker, Mara's cold stare sharpening like a blade. Fear tightens her throat, but curiosity pushes through. Alder always told her secrets aren't meant to be feared, only understood. She doesn't know if she believes that anymore, but she wants answers. She finally looks Vincent in the eyes and asks him why Alder trusted her with something that could change everything. His answer is simple: because he knew you'd protect it. Lila barely sleeps that night. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees Damon laughing, Vincent watching, Alder's handwriting on the envelope. By morning, she feels hollow inside, like she's walking through fog. As she enters school, whispers follow her down the hallway. People stare longer than usual. Some smile in ways that make her stomach twist. She doesn't know why, until she catches 2 students murmuring about her sudden money. Her heart drops. The rumor spread. She tries to disappear into her classroom, but Damon is already waiting by the door, leaning against the frame with a smile that isn't cruel for once. Just curious. Too curious. She freezes as he greets her softly, like they're old friends. Something is wrong. Damon never speaks gently, unless he wants something. When Lila steps inside the classroom, she almost collides with Mara, who stands waiting by her desk with a graceful smile that feels colder than winter air. Mara speaks softly, complimenting Lila's hair, her shoes, anything she can grab onto, as if trying to wrap Lila in ribbons she didn't ask for. Lila tightens her grip on her locket. She knows kindness shouldn't feel like a trap, but this does. Mara keeps leaning closer, asking innocent questions about Lila's family money. pretending she doesn't see the panic rising in Lila's eyes. Lila finally steps back, her voice cracking as she says she doesn't know what anyone is talking about. Mara's smile twitches. It's the first honest expression she's shown. Lila can tell she struck something sharp and dangerous underneath. At lunch, Lila sits alone under the old oak tree behind the school, desperate for quiet. But Vincent's words won't leave her. The Crestwells will try to take it. She doesn't know what it fully means yet, only that the small metal piece inside her locket suddenly feels heavy. She studies it, tracing its edges with her thumbs. Her thoughts spiral. Why did Alder hide this? Why give it to her? Before she can breathe, a shadow falls across the grass. Damon stands there holding 2 sodas, smiling like he's doing her a favor. Lila nearly flinches. He sits beside her without asking, lowering his voice as he says he heard she might need friends now. The fear in her chest tightens. This isn't friendship. This is a warning wrapped in charm. Damon talks as if he has known her for years. He asks how she's doing, asks if she slept, asks if she wants help with anything. Each question sounds soft, but the weight beneath them is sharp. Lila watches him closely. His voice is too controlled, his smile too careful. Then he mentions rumors again, this time saying he doesn't believe them unless she confirms them. Lila's pulse spikes. She tells him she has no idea what he's talking about. Damon studies her, his eyes narrowing for just a breath. That 1 second of silence terrifies her more than his laughter last night. She senses he isn't just curious. He's searching. For what? For proof? For weakness? She stands abruptly, clutching the locket, and Damon rises with her, blocking her path with a polite smile that feels like a lock clicking shut. That night, Lila walks home faster than usual. Every sound behind her makes her look over her shoulder. Vincent told her someone might follow her, and now she can't shake the feeling of eyes lingering in the dark. The streetlights flicker as she passes. She keeps one hand on her locket. The metal piece inside feels warm, almost alive. She doesn't want to admit she's scared, but fear crawls under her skin like ice. When she turns the final corner toward her house, she hears footsteps, soft, quick, and too close. She spins, expecting Damon or Mara, but sees no one. The empty street swallows her breath. She hurries toward her door, her hands shaking so badly she almost drops her keys. Something is coming. She feels it, and she isn't ready. Layla sits at her kitchen table long after sunset, the house silent except for the distant hum of passing cars. The envelope lies open beside her, its contents spread out. Alder's handwriting, the small metal piece, Vincent's instructions. She studies the faded address scribbled at the top of one note. An old property far outside town. Alder never mentioned it. Never hinted at owning anything. The idea feels unreal. Her chest tightens as she reads the lines again, hoping she misread something. But no, the message is clear. For Lila, do not trust the Crestwells. She swallows hard. Why them? Why warn her about them specifically? She thinks of Damon's sudden kindness. Mara's questions the footsteps behind her. It all fits into a terrifying pattern she didn't want to see. Whatever Alder left for her is dangerous, and her life may already be shifting towards something she can turn away from. The next morning, Lila forces herself to meet Vincent near the old train station, a place Alder used to take her when she was little. Vincent stands waiting with a leather folder tucked under his arm, his expression calm but serious. He tells her the truth slowly, piece by piece, as if he knows each detail could break her. Alder once worked for the Crestwells, he explains, not as a simple groundskeeper like everyone thought, but as someone who managed part of their estate finances. Lila feels her breath catch. She imagines Alder younger, stronger, carrying burdens she never knew existed. Vincent goes on. There was corruption, money that vanished, documents altered, and Alder was blamed for things he didn't do. Lila grips her locket. The world suddenly feels tilted, as if she's been walking through a story written behind her back. Lila walks beside Vincent toward the outskirts of town, following a dirt path that curves through tall grass and forgotten fences. She holds the locket tightly, feeling the metal piece press into her palm. Vincent explains that Alder discovered financial documents hidden away, documents that could expose the Crestwells' involvement in a massive cover-up. Lila stops walking. The revelation hits her like cold water. The Crestwells, with all their wealth and status, built part of their empire on lies. And Alder protected her by staying silent? She feels her throat tighten. A memory flashes, Alder telling her some truths can't be spoken until the right time. She never understood then. Now the meaning sinks painfully deep. She asks Vincent why Alder didn't run or fight back. Vincent answers quietly, because he was protecting you. By midday, they reach a ridge overlooking an isolated property shrouded by trees and broken fences. Vincent points toward the old building hidden among branches, the place connected to the key. Lila feels her stomach twist. The structure looks abandoned, yet something about it feels strangely familiar, as if Alder once brought her here long ago. Vincent warns her that the Crestwells may already suspect she has access to this place. Her heart pounds. She thinks of Damon's sudden interest, Mara's fake concern, the footsteps she heard last night. Everything leads here. Everything Alder tried to protect now presses against her ribs. She wants to turn back, to hide from whatever waits inside, but something stronger keeps her rooted. She whispers that she needs to see it for herself. Vincent hands her a folded letter, another message from Alder. Lila's fingers tremble as she unfolds it. The paper is worn, the ink faded, but Alder's voice comes alive in every line. He explains that the key piece she carries is part of a lock inside the estate, a lock tied to documents proving the truth about the Crestwells' fortune. Lila's breath shakes. Alder apologizes for leaving suddenly, saying he wanted to secure everything before it reached her hands. But the final lines hit her hardest. You are stronger than you know. Do not let them take what is yours. Tears blur her vision. She presses the letter to her chest, feeling Alder's love like a weight and a lifeline. She knows now. There is no turning back. The past she never knew is already pulling her forward. The next afternoon, Lila walks home with her hood pulled over her head, trying to disappear into the street noise. Vincent warned her to avoid the Crestwells, but she didn't think they would move so fast. She doesn't notice the black car trailing her until it slows beside the curb. Her heart stutters. Damon leans out the window with a soft smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Mara sits beside him, her expression unreadable but sharp enough to cut. They ask if she needs a ride, their voices syrup sweet and wrong. Lila shakes her head and steps away, but Damon insists, calling her name with a tone she's never heard from him before. Too gentle, too practiced. She slips, and Mara pulls the door open, inviting her in as if offering kindness. The trap snaps shut before Lila even realizes she's walking toward it. Lila sits in the back seat, every instinct screaming that she made a mistake. Damon drives too calmly, his fingers tapping the wheel in a slow, impatient rhythm. Mara keeps turning around to smile at Lila, though the smile never reaches her eyes. They talk about nothing: school, teachers, the weather. But each word feels like a rope tightening around Lila's chest. She asks where they're going. Damon says they want to show her something. Mara adds that it's related to her family treasure, and the words send a chill through Lila's bones. They shouldn't know about that. No one should. She clutches her locket under her jacket, trying to hide the panic rising inside her. When Damon turns onto a dirt road leading away from town, Lila's heartbeat becomes a painful drum. The car stops at the edge of the abandoned property, Alder's property. Lila's breath catches. She feels sick as Damon steps out and opens her door, offering a hand she refuses to take. Mara circles around her like a shadow. Their voices drop the sweetness. They ask about the key. They demand to know what Alder left behind. Lila backs away, her hands trembling, insisting she knows nothing. Damon's eyes darken, the charm falling from his face like shattered glass. Mara steps closer, whispering that Lila should stop lying unless she wants things to get worse. Lila's fear rises like a tide, but beneath it is something else. Anger. She clutches her locket. If Alder trusted her with this secret, she won't hand it over to the people who hurt him. Mara moves first, reaching for Lila's necklace. Lila jerks back, shouting at her to stop. Damon grabs her wrist, not hard enough to bruise, but firm enough to show he's done pretending. Panic surges through Lila, but she twists her arm free and stumbles backward. She doesn't know how she finds the strength, but fear and Alder's words collide inside her like fire. She screams at them to stay away. The twins freeze, startled by the sudden force in her voice. For a moment, even the wind stops. Then Damon lunges forward just as a car engine roars in the distance. Vincent's voice cuts through the air, commanding them to step back. Relief and terror slam into Lila at once. Everything starts happening too fast. Vincent rushes to Lila's side, placing himself between her and the twins. Damon steps back, but only barely, his jaw clenched in anger. Mara folds her arms, her expression unreadable but sharp. Vincent tells them to leave, his voice steady and firm. He reminds them the property is legally protected, and that any attempt to take what belongs to Lila will be recorded and prosecuted. Damon scoffs but doesn't move closer. Lila stands beside Vincent, clutching her locket as if her heartbeat depends on it. When Vincent unlocks the gate with the metal piece and her locket's hidden key, something heavy shifts in the air. The old gate creaks open. Below the estate, hidden in shadows, lies a sealed underground vault. The one Alder meant only for her. The twins watch with growing fear as the truth begins to surface. Lila steps inside the underground passage, the cold air wrapping around her like a warning. Vincent walks ahead with a flashlight, revealing dust swirling in the beam. The walls look older than anything she has ever seen. Stone layered with years of secrets. Each step makes her heart beat louder. Damon and Mara linger at the entrance, their silhouettes stiff with fear or greed. Maybe both. Vincent leads her to a heavy metal door built into the earth. He explains that Alder sealed this place himself, protecting the last documents that could uncover what the Crestwells did. Lila's hands shake as she touches the door. Everything feels unreal. She spent her entire life believing she had nothing. Now, she's the one holding a key powerful enough to turn the world upside down. Her breath trembles. She whispers Alder's name, wishing he were here to guide her through this. Vincent places the metal piece into the strange lock, then nods for Lila to use the piece hidden in her locket. Her hands tremble as she clicks it into place. The lock reacts instantly. A deep metallic groan echoing through the corridor as the door slowly unlocks. Lila steps back, overwhelmed by the sound, by the movement, by the weight of everything Alder left behind. When the door finally opens, she sees a small room filled with old file boxes, ledgers, and sealed envelopes. Her breath catches. This is Alder's truth, his burden. Vincent tells her these documents prove the Crestwells stole land, investments, and inheritance from Alder's family decades ago. Lila feels her knees weaken. She always thought she came from nothing, but the truth is she came from everything that was taken from her before she was even born. Lila kneels beside one of the boxes, opening it with shaking fingers. Inside are financial ledgers, property deeds, and handwritten notes, all showing how Alder's family was stripped of their rights. Vincent explains the Crestwells built much of their empire on stolen funds and manipulated documents. Lila feels heat rise behind her eyes as she realizes Alder didn't just protect her. He protected everything she should have inherited. Damon steps forward, insisting the documents must be fake. Mara snaps at him to be quiet, her voice unusually sharp. Lila stands, holding one of the deeds close to her chest. Her voice wavers, but she speaks anyway. She says Alder didn't lie. He never would. For the first time in her life, her words feel strong, not small. She isn't defending herself. She's defending her family. Vincent unfolds the final envelope, the one Alder told him to open only in Lila's presence. Lila holds her breath as he reads the contents aloud. It's a will. Alder's real will, not the fake one the Crestwells claimed years ago. The document states clearly that everything belonging to Alder's family now passes directly to Lila. Land, funds, shares, and ownership claims on the very properties the Crestwells benefit from. Damon looks like the ground just shifted under him. Mara's face drains of color as she realizes what this means. Not just money, but power. Real power. Lila feels like the air is too thin to breathe. She never wanted any of this, but Alder chose her because he believed she would do the right thing. Her chest aches with a mix of grief and strength she didn't know she had. Lila steps away from the shelves, needing air she can't seem to find. She presses a hand to the cold wall, feeling the weight of Alder's love and pain pressing against her. Vincent rests a reassuring hand on her shoulder, telling her she has every legal right to everything in this vault and everything the Crestwells stole. Damon stares at the floor, trembling with anger or fear. Mara's voice cracks as she whispers that this can ruin their family. Lila turns toward them slowly. For the first time, the fear inside her shifts into something stronger. Resolve. She says she isn't here to ruin anyone. She's here for the truth, and for Alder. Her voice doesn't shake. Not once. Damon looks up with disbelief as if he doesn't recognize her anymore. Maybe he never did. The next morning, everything feels unreal. Vincent sits across from Lila in his quiet office, stacks of documents surrounding them like fragile pieces of a life she never knew she inherited. Reporters crowd the steps outside, hungry for the truth, finally exposed after years of silence. Lila watches the world move in a blur through the office window. She never wanted attention, never wanted power, but she wanted Alder's name cleared, and now it will be. Vincent explains how the legal process will unfold, how the assets stolen from her family will return to her. She nods slowly, still overwhelmed. For the first time, she isn't afraid of the future. She's just unsure where to step first. Vincent says she handled everything with strength Alder would be proud of. She presses her hand to her locket, feeling that truth settle deep inside her chest. The news travels fast. By noon, the school halls buzz with whispers sharper than anything she's ever heard. Students stare openly this time, not with mockery, but confusion and shock. Lila walks through the hallway, each step echoing louder than the last. She feels exposed, but not in the same way as before. She feels seen. Damon stands near the lockers, shoulders slumped. No audience surrounding him now. His eyes follow her with a mixture of guilt and disbelief. Mara stands beside him, but for once her perfect posture falters. Lila doesn't stop walking, doesn't flinch, doesn't shrink. She isn't the same girl who kneeled on the auditorium floor. And Damon knows it. He opens his mouth as if to speak, but no words come. Lila simply walks past, holding her locket like a compass. Later, Lila meets Vincent outside the courthouse, where the Crestwell parents stand with their lawyers, angry and pale. The tension between the families is loud enough to silence the street. Vincent explains the settlement terms to them. Most of the Crestwell estate will be returned to Lila, as the rightful heir through Alder's bloodline. The Crestwells fight it, but the evidence is undeniable. Damon watches his parents crumble for the first time in his life. Lila feels a strange ache. Not satisfaction, not pity, but something in between. She steps forward and says she won't destroy them. She only wants the truth restored. The Crestwell parents stare at her in disbelief. She chooses compassion, not revenge, and in that moment, she feels Alder's courage echo through her chest. When the legal dust settles, Lila takes a quiet walk to the edge of town, following the path to the cemetery where Alder rests. She kneels beside his stone, her fingers brushing the cold surface as tears slip down her cheeks. She whispers everything she wished she could tell him. The truth she uncovered, the courage she found, the fear she fought through, the life she's stepping into now because of him. She places the small metal key piece beside his name, letting it rest there like a thank you. She promises him she will take care of what he protected. She promises she won't let the Crestwells twist her story again. A soft breeze moves through the trees, gentle and warm, like Alder's hand on her shoulder. She closes her eyes, letting herself feel it. As the sun sets, Lila stands on the ridge overlooking the Crestwell estate, now legally hers. The wind brushes her hair as she studies the place that once symbolized everything she lacked. Now it symbolizes everything she overcame. Vincent stands beside her, explaining the next steps. But Lila barely hears him. She thinks of the girl who fell on the auditorium stage, the girl everyone laughed at, the girl who believed she was small and forgettable. She isn't that girl anymore. She faced the truth, carried Alder's hope, and survived the storm. She touches her locket, letting the final light of the day reflect off its silver surface. Her voice, soft but steady, breaks the quiet. I'm not afraid anymore, and for the first time, she knows it's true.